don't we just pick up where the founders sort of steered us? Individual liberty, that's what we want. That's what it's all about. Now, if you emphasize individual liberty, you solve all the problems. And one thing that we could have prevented our problems in this country would have been if we had followed the Constitution. That would have helped. So if we got into this mess because we have not followed the Constitution, it doesn't take, a tremendous genius to figure out, well, maybe we can get back on our feet again by sending only people to Washington who have actually read the Constitution and you believe they will follow the Constitution. Instead, today we have a Congress that doesn't pay much attention. They don't probably even know, most of them, what Article 1, Section 8 is all about, and all the restraints our courts legislate, our executive branch legislate, and if they want a piece of legislation and the Congress acts too slowly, our president says, well, that's okay, I'll just write an executive order. But there's one thing very neat about a constitutional president. All the legislation that has been passed by executive order would be repealable by an executive order. So there would be no more assassinations of American citizens or a threat of assassination. If we get rid of all the unconstitutional attacks on our civil liberties, there will be no military coming in and arresting individuals in the individual states and put in secret prisons. There'll be no more of that. Of course, once we get the list figured out, the list keeps growing, but very top, very high up on that list will be the repeal of the Patriot Act. There is a lot a president can do, a constitutional president can do by issuing legal executive orders. The president is the commander-in-chief of the military forces. The president has the authority to bring the troops home without a congressional authority. Just bring them home. I'm not talking just about the Middle East. I'm talking about Germany and Japan and Korea and Africa. And in the meantime, what they're trying to convince us of is that maybe we can back off a little bit on that, but now that we've declared war against the world with the global war on terrorism, they figure that from New Mexico or from Washington, D.C., they can have a drone war and kill anybody they want around the world. I think the drone war ought to cease. And of course, there are many who think the drone war ought to be applied to American citizens. There is a plan now to have over 30,000 drones flying over this country. Of course, they have to be very busy. There's a lot of laws on the books, and there were 40,000 new ones put on in January, and they think the solution is, this compulsion is, we have to enforce all these laws. I have a better solution. Why don't we repeal those laws? Plus more. I imagine many of you heard the story just the last couple of days. There was a college student down in San Diego, college student there, and they said he was doing bad things. Who knows what he was doing? But he was in the state of California. If there was any disobedience to law, it used to be that the policeman had something to say about this. But who barged in? It was the DEA, arrested and a bunch of young people for whatever suspicion they had. But what did they do? They put them in prison. Most of them got released, but they forgot about one. 5 days in prison, no water, nearly died, was in intensive care for 3 days. The DEA has no authority to be law enforcement in any state whatsoever.